For those of you who are new to me, my name is Heather Rodriguez. I'm a natural fertility specialist. My team and I at the Natural Fertility Company help couples who are preparing for conception, overcoming fertility issues, preparing for healthier pregnancy, all those things in the fertility world we help with. So you can find my resources at naturalfertilityinfo.com and Natural Fertility Shop. So today's fertility scope is going to be all about the herb Dong Quai. And I'm saying it wrong. Yes, we'll just get that out up front. I say it wrong, but I say Dong Quai. Hey Lorraine, nice to see you. I'm sure it's pronounced Dong Quai, but I'm just going to say Dong Quai. So we'll just get that disclaimer out of the way. So I first want to kind of see where you guys are at. Have you heard about this herb before? If you have, go ahead and type yes into the comments for me if this isn't fertility herb that you have heard about. Dong Quai. No, we've got a no. Yes, yes, for me, you're using it, Christina, great. Yes, no, yes, and taking it. Nazdar not heard about it. Okay, so we're nope. So we're about even, a little bit more no's than yes. So great, I'm glad that you guys are on here because this is an herb to definitely know about. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Yes, but don't understand how it works. Okay, great. Thank you for your honesty and sharing that. All right, so Dong Quai. So first of all, as an herbalist, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Heather Rodriguez. I'm an herbalist and nutritionist, and I'm a natural fertility specialist. I've been working since 2007 as a natural fertility specialist. Your first time here, thank you so much for joining us. Yay. And we've been helping couples to overcome fertility issues, prepare for healthier pregnancy. So I really focus in on fertility. Great, welcome. Thank you guys so much. And so herbs are my passion. Herbs are what I love. I've loved since I was 15 years old. I'll have to share my story with you sometime about how I came to my calling as an herbalist. But I've been an herbalist since 1999. I have not always been a fertility specialist. I started out as an herbalist. So herbs are my go-to, obviously besides diet. You guys know that. Because of how well they work. So as an herbalist, I practice Western herbalism, but I do use Chinese herbs and I do use Ayurvedic herbs from India and South America, because it's like whatever works, I'm going to be using. So as an herbalist, I really like to touch the herbs. I like to harvest the herbs. I like to get to know them. A lot of people will only know herbs in capsules, or they only know herbs in liquid bottles. And I just want to kind of share with you kind of the magic of the world of herbs. I think my lighting just got bad there. So I'm going to show you what Dong Quai looks like dried. When it's growing fresh, it's going to be a beautiful plant that has like an umbrella flowering head to it. But the dried root is going to look like this. This is very dried. This is actually a couple years old, so I wouldn't necessarily use this herb, but this is what it looks like when we get it before we process it into liquid herbal extracts. All right, so that's what Dong Quai looks like. And if you were to smell it, it's very, very, very fragrant. I think it smells great. It smells like spicy celery, perfumey celery. All right, so that's what the Dong Quai looks like when we get it dried before we make it into our products. Okay, just so you kind of get an idea and you can kind of connect with it visually, so that you know it's not just some word on a label. It actually is a plant that's growing that is such a gift. Okay, so on to Dong Quai. So Dong Quai is Angelica sinensis. Is my door open? Is Angelica sinensis, and it is a wonderful herbal female tonic. It can be used for men as well, but we're going to focus mostly on its attributes towards fertility. For men, it's great for erectile dysfunction, and we'll just leave it at that because of its ability to increase circulation. For women, we've used it, it's been used for thousands of years. There's recorded history of Dong Quai being used in recipes since the 1st century. So it's used traditionally in Chinese medicine. But I still use it because it's fantastic. We have a similar herb here called Angelica, because it's pretty much the same plant, that grows here, Arch Angelica, that grows actually here in the land where I live. So Dong Quai, one of the reasons that it's so great is it helps to tonify and strengthen the uterus. And this is important for fertility because the uterus needs to be healthy. There needs to be great circulation because we want implantation to occur. We want a healthy uterine lining. We want to make sure that hormonal balance is happening. And a lot of people don't know that the ovaries are actually responsible for some of your hormone production, and your ovaries are connected to your uterus by your fallopian tube. So we want that whole region to be really healthy. And one of the things that Dong Quai does is it helps to tonify and strengthen the uterus. And red raspberry leaf does that too, but they're going to do it in a different way. And here's how. Dong Quai helps to regulate hormonal balance, which raspberry leaf does not. It's also going to improve uterine tone, which raspberry leaf does, but it's going to do it because of its ability to increase circulation to the reproductive system. So over time, it's going to help regulate a menstrual cycle. It's going to help if you have low, scanty periods, if you're missing a period. So it's going to work very differently than red raspberry leaf. So a lot of herbs that are good for the reproductive system are going to be tonifying to the uterus, but it does not mean that they have the same action. It's just one of their outcomes. So in Asia, Dong Quai is considered and just as popular as ginseng. So you guys have all heard of ginseng, right? Ginseng's super popular. American ginseng is one of the most popular types. This is considered the female version. And Dong Quai is great to combine with other herbs. It can definitely be combined with red raspberry leaf, but they're going to have a different action. So it's not something that Dong Quai is not necessarily an herb that every single person should take, where red raspberry leaf is something that's a little bit more nourishing and can be taken by a wide variety of people. So in traditional Chinese medicine, Dong Quai is referred to as a blood tonic. And what that means is that it helps to build up the blood. It helps to bring more nutrients to the blood and to increase circulation. And you might be wondering, how do I know that I might need my blood built up? How does that show up? How does blood deficiency, it's more of like a traditional Chinese term, how does blood deficiency show up? Scanty periods, so that means that either your period is very short or you're just spotting and that's your period. It's very light, it's translucent red, it's pink, it's not very dark, it's not rich. And sorry for the guys that are on here, but yes, we're going to be talking about periods. So that's how you kind of know how you have a light flow. And what that means is that either you need to help build up the blood, you need to help build up your system because you might be undernourished in the sense of not getting enough protein, not getting enough iron. So Dong Quai helps to build up the blood, it helps to build up iron, it helps to build up red blood cells. So that's going to be a sign of you need to build up and revitalize your system. And Dong Quai is one of the ways to do that in addition to diet. So absent period, weakness after periods, you just had your period and you're wiped out, that's a sign, as well as pale menstrual flow. So another way that we use this, exactly, no shame at all. It's a miracle of menstruation, right? So another way that we use Dong Quai is for stagnant conditions. So we just talked about helping to build up the blood in situations where blood is deficient. We're also going to use this for a totally different set of issues where there's stagnation. So what stagnation means, and I just simplify this, I'm not traditional Chinese practitioner. I am a Western herbalist, so I really simplify these things. So I'm not claiming to be a traditional Chinese herbalist. Anyways, so, but I do like the way that they look at the body and the way they approach it. So the whole stagnant condition, we work with that a lot. So what that means is when there is something stuck or not flowing or moving in your body, you want to get that moving. So for example, in the case of endometriosis, there is extra tissue that is growing that is not leaving. So it's building up, and then it will bleed. So that's a stagnant, I consider that a stagnant condition. PCOS is another example where the follicles are growing, body's getting ready to ovulate, but then it does not ovulate, and then the cysts grow on the ovaries because those eggs have not ovulated. That is considered a stagnant condition. Ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids, there's tissue growing, it's not leaving the body. That is considered a stagnant condition. So one of the steps you want to take, there's many different steps for all those different imbalances, but one of the steps you want to take is to help remove stagnation, to increase circulation, to help get everything moving. So that is one of the things that we use Dong Quai for. It's also helpful for reducing congestion and pain. So I know if some of you are going through endometriosis, that can be a painful situation. So helping to move and get the blood moving is one of the benefits of Dong Quai. It's not the strongest analgesic, it's not the strongest herb to use for pain, but it's something that I would include. So a quick list Dong Quai may be helpful for: menstrual irregularities, delayed or absent menstruation, short periods with cramping. It's strengthening to a weakened uterus, cramping and PMS during your period. It can be helpful for that. Also, women who have stopped taking birth control pills and need to encourage a cycle that isn't coming because they've been on these hormonal pills for so long. Light or slow starting menstruation or stagnant conditions. Another case where I find that kind of might check off a box for you is if right before your cycle, if you feel really kind of like built up and just ready for your period to start, but it's not starting, and it's kind of feel that energy build up. I'm not sure if any of you guys have experienced that. That's another situation where Dong Quai will be helpful to release that energy and get things started. So some of the ways to use Dong Quai. My favorite way to use Dong Quai is liquid herbal extracts because of the way that alcohol extracts the compounds. So you would take 30 drops twice a day. Very simple. You put in water, tea, juice, whatever you want, and you would just take that. There are some precautions with Dong Quai of when to take it, who can take it, when you should stop using it. Someone was asking about weakened uterus, so I will kind of clarify that a little bit. So weakened uterus is going to be a situation where, kind of like what we were talking about with a scanty period or a devitalized menstrual cycle, one that needs to be built up. So weakened uterus might be a situation where you don't have enough circulation to the uterus, you are possibly recovering from something, there's things happening with your uterus such as fibroids, cramps, things like that is going to be somewhat of a weakened uterus. You're just helping to support a healthy uterus. That's basically it. So liquid extract's my favorite way. You can also take it in capsules, but you generally actually find this herb used in blends. I think it works best that way. Sometimes we do actually have the single formulation so that you can add it, because most people that work with us are on multiple herbs and multiple products. So it's something that you can add with other things. It's found in a lot of our blends. Our blend to stimulate menstruation, you'll definitely find it. You'll find it in our Fertility Care and our Harmonize, because all of those situations you want to stimulate and you want to help encourage and build up the blood. A healthy blood, building up the blood is really important, because that's basically how your chi is being transported and how all of the nutrients and everything are being transported. It's so important to have healthy circulation in the system. So I think that's why Vitex plays such a vital role. Dong Quai plays such a vital role. So there are some things to consider with Dong Quai though, because it does have such a strong blood action. So there are certain times you shouldn't take it, and there are certain people who should not use it. So the first is it should not be used during pregnancy because of its stimulating effect on the uterus. So do not use during pregnancy. It should not be used while you're breastfeeding, because we do not know the effects of this herb on young infants. Most herbs, cannot be used while breastfeeding because it can be passed on to your child. And Dong Quai is one of those. Do not use during menstruation because it will increase your menstrual flow. But if you have a scanty flow or, just very, very light, very pink, it'll actually be beneficial. So that type of person would want to use it all month long. Here comes too much information, but if you have a situation where there is a lot of energy leaving your body, such as diarrhea, excessive menstrual flow, you do not want to be using Dong Quai during that period of time, because the energy is going to be going down and out. If you're using anticoagulants or blood thinning medications, you do not want to use Dong Quai. If you're using warfarin, aspirin, Coumadin, you need to talk with your practitioner, but you wouldn't want to combine these because this can have a blood thinning action. So you also want to discontinue 2 weeks prior to surgical procedures. And I know this is like one of the herbs that we have the most precautions for, but it's because of its direct action on the blood that we need to be careful. So just be cautious about that. And then it's interesting because most herbs are classified. There's a safety handbook. It's called the Botanical Safety Handbook, and it classifies all herbs. And this is classified as a 2B herb. And basically what that means is it's generally considered safe, except to not be used during pregnancy. So 2B is a good score. 1B means it can be used as an herb that can be used at all times, all different phases of life. 2B is something that has one step up of a precaution. So that's Dong Quai. If you guys have any questions about that, we do use Dong Quai in a multi-herb formulations. It just depends on what's going on. Fertility Care and Harmonize are probably our go-tos for general fertility blends that are going to contain Dong Quai, but you also can just use the single liquid extract as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found this talk on Dong Quai helpful. It's so great to see you guys, and I will talk with you again soon.